Angharad Sage, your galactic guide. Welcome to the new fucking year. It's 2026 if you're listening currently, and if not, welcome to the future. It's not the future, it's the past, but you know what I mean. Time dilation, all the fancy words and things, portals. Speaking of, I want to have a conversation today around fear and how it's actually guiding us to where we're going. But speaking of sci-fi and portals, I have recently started doing a new type of artwork. Digitally, and it's very sci-fi inspired. In fact, I wonder if I can get a photo of one in the show notes. I'm obsessed with like the lines and the cosmic and it's giving sci-fi cosmic bad bitch. And wait, even top tier, what I've done for my vision board for this year is I have written out on this art that I created my affirmations for the year and the things I want to achieve, and then turned the brightness, opacity, whatever the fuck, translucency, fancy word, insert fancy word that I'm not using correctly, down to like really, really low so you can't really see it. So it looks like texture in the background and you can't really see it, but I know it's there and I really like it. And it's like a hidden code, like Da Vinci Code. I have read a lot of books in 2025, so that's one of my celebrations for the year. I think it was like, I don't even fucking know. Last time I counted was like 25. We entered the year much stronger than that. It was probably 35. Oh, and I'm turning 35 this year. Any fucking who. Let's have a chat today about fear. For a lot of us, fear is something that can be quite debilitating and quite intense. And also something that seemingly can feel like it runs our lives. But I want to share with you 2 to 3 really pivotal stories that changed my perspective significantly on fear and of running away from a problem, which in the manifestation world, I used to take that as low vibe or misalignment or even with human design, right? You're not self-then frustrated. If you're frustrated and you ran away from something, that means that you know what I mean? Insert wording that makes you feel like shit and creates shame, and oh my god, starts a whole new trauma loop, the fuck, or plays into an old one and reiterates an old one. As a splenic being, what I have come to know is that our fears are actually guiding us in a really beautiful and aligned as fuck way. And it's only the world that has convinced us that it is wrong. It's only people who are shaking in their boots because of fear, because they think it's a bad thing, that's actually taken away this magical beauty and this magical gift that our fears actually are. My perspective on fear now is that she is a divine teacher and a great gift to this world. And in order for me to have this perspective and this understanding, it required a lot of inner child work and inner child healing and inner child holding. And what I realized through that journey is that she was never wrong. Her experience was never wrong. Her fears were never wrong. And in fact, very often her intuition and her fears were actually guiding her towards safety. Splenic beings, we know. We get the GBs about someone, and years later you know why. So it required me to surrender all of my thoughts and preconceived notions, and honestly a lot of my trauma, at the feet of my younger self, and saying to her, I am sorry. You were right. You were right this whole fucking time. You were this most pure being this whole fucking time. And this is an overarching picture, I would say, as to my healing journey and my precipitation journey and my creation journey, and also my journey as a parent. And through this process, it actually allowed me to reclaim parts of myself that I had left behind at a door, that I had left behind because of trauma, that I had left behind because it was too painful, that I had left behind because she was made wrong, or because I was ashamed of her, or I was ashamed of the situation, or ashamed of the boundaries I didn't have, or whatever the fuck. A million insert things here. And it left me quite scrambled. And then in my mid-20s to my 30s, I guess, I healed a lot of those versions of me. And what it felt like to me is I was collecting them back up like they're my children, under my mama wing, under my I don't know, goose's wing and coming back to this now version of me, instead of leaving them stuck in this trauma loop. Like, they get to come and live as my inner child right now with me as a sovereign whole being through the lens of me now, knowing that they were perfect, they are wise, they are beautiful, they are literally perfection on a canvas, and they deserve to be here. And so this left me as a sovereign, complete woman. And this is the lens through which I now see fear, and why I was able to hold my daughter in such a high frequency with a story that I'm going to tell you in a moment around fear that showcased this leadership from my defined spleen around fear. She also has a defined spleen. And so the language, the frequency really hit with her, really helped her herd, you're going to understand that pun in a moment, her fears, and utilize her fears in a whole new way. What I have come to know about our fears is that it in fact is hurting us towards where we want to go. This is also massively because I am a splenic being manifester. It is also my authority. So it is so loud, so clear, so intense, such written all across my leadership and all across exactly who I am as a being. And so when my daughter Clara was sharing with me on our girl date on last Saturday, about fears that she has, very real fears and very present for her based on the things that we went through last year in 2025 with family and friends, and grief and challenges and health challenges, like very intense fears for a 9-year-old girl to be holding and to be experiencing and to be walking through and to be, we all remember being 9, right? It's like the age where the separation between you and your parents have begun, and you are beginning to see life in your own perspective. And that separation also can make you feel quite lonely because you're not tucked under your mama's wings anymore. They are, but you're not in the ways of the perspective, and she still leans on us, but I remember having that, it's almost like a ripping feeling, and it's scary as fuck, dude. Like especially when you have real challenges at that age, and grief and medical, like there's a lot of real things that she's going through, and so it's exacerbated. Anywho, I told her a story about me and my greatest fear currently in this version of myself. And I told her that my greatest fear is that I am going to lose my children, not from a death perspective, although that's a fear as well, not from a death perspective, but from a relationship perspective. That my greatest fear in this lifetime is that my children will grow up and hate me. That our relationship will be strained, that it will be difficult, that they are going to be in therapy forever and ever and ever because I was such a horrible mother and it was the shittiest life and they shouldn't have been homeschooled and blah blah, insert all fears here. But ultimately, that I would damage the relationship so much that I would then lose them when they're adults. And the next part I described is that fear is so valid and so true. I have tingles on my scalp. And is so pure, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with your fears. There's nothing shameful about them. There's nothing to even fix about them, in fact, actually. And so it's from this point that I then began to work on it with myself. And the next step for me was to ask myself, well, what is the opposite experience of that? What do I actually desire? What am I seeking to have for the journey of this relationship in this lifetime with my children? And for me, I then described them to her, which is a deep relationship, a deep bond, time spent together, deep conversations, travel together, to play cards together, to roll around the lawn together, to renovate houses with us and renovate houses with them, and I don't know, babysit their fur babies, and like talk and make meals together and meet their friends and their partners and their boyfriends and their lovers and their like, and to house sit their plants, you know, take them over flowers every day, make them food. Like, that's the relationship that I want to have with them when they're adults. I want us to be close, but also as close as they want, obviously. I want us to have a really real friendship. That's what I really desire. And so I said to her, the fear is actually herding me towards my actual desires. And so day to day, as I make decisions in my everyday movements, it's not thinking of the fear, it's thinking of what reality I want in the future and creating that today and being that today, because it doesn't have to be in the future, and the future never fucking comes, right? The future is today. The future is the presence. There is no future. And so I said to her, it's like our fears are herding us through towards where we want to go. And her face and her body began to react, began to receive the activation. And I said, have you seen a border collie try and get sheep through a gateway? And she's like, no. And I was like, what they do is, and then I pulled up a video for her as well, but I will describe it for the sake of you. What they do is they walk towards the sheep really slowly, and the sheep are like, whoa, that thing's gonna eat me, I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. And the sheep start running away, and then the border collie runs to the right and is like, wait, don't go that far. And the sheep looks at the border collie and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? And it's just trying to go the opposite way to this border collie over and over and over again. And the border collie is going left to right to forward and then backing off and then running around to the right to catch some that are going to go the opposite way, because the sheep are not looking at the fucking gateway, are they? No, sheep are scatterbrained as fuck. Have you ever tried to herd sheep? My God. So I grew up on a little farmlet in my teenage years, and we didn't have dogs. My mother had 5 children, so we were the border collies, and trying to get 14 sheep through a fucking gateway, I shit you not, used to take us like an hour. It was so stressful and so insane because the sheep had no grass, and through the gateway there was lush beautiful grass, and they were like, oh my God, no, we couldn't possibly go that way. I just want to say dumb. I'm sorry. They are fucking dumb. They act like they are dumb, and it's just a nightmare. Anyway, so the border collies have quite a fucking art. Like, they are working with arguably the most difficult animal to herd into a gateway, and they do it with such art, such decadence, such beauty, and such perfect timing that it's a masterpiece to watch. And I said, that's exactly what our fears are doing. And we are the sheep. We don't always know what is on the other side. We don't always know everything we desire is on the other side. We don't always know the land of milk and honey quite literally is through this gateway. And our fears is the border collie guiding us towards where we want to go. So these are the journaling suggestions that I have for you right now. For you to set your intentions in this new year. For you to recalibrate to where it is that your border collie is trying to take you that you cannot see yet. And it firstly begins, honestly, with honoring the fears. Like, I shit you not, you cannot just do manifestation and avoid the shadow work, or avoid the synthesizing of our younger selves, or of our fearful selves, or of our shadow selves. Like, that is part of the journey. And when we ignore all of that, it actually creates, I don't want to say more complications down the road, because once again, it's all so perfectly and divinely timed and created. But I believe that it's a beautiful piece of the cake. I do not view our fears as dirty or bad or disgusting. And so I want you, with love, like, literally put on the most beautiful song right now, something that feels like a love song, or like a heart song, or a joy song. And I want you to write out your fears. I want you to sit with them, like really sit with them, and view them as something that you can give love to, whether that's a younger version of yourself, whether that's your child, whether that's a niece or a nephew. Like, imagine a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old telling you these fears, and sit with that version of you, this current version of you, and actually listen the fuck to them. for a hot fucking second, because I bet you have not been. I bet you are still so ashamed of her. And from there, I want you to then ask, what is the opposite experience of this? Or if this wasn't going to happen, what is it that I actually desire? What is this fear masking of my truest desires or my purest intentions? Because very often it is the complete opposite. And I want you to breathe life into that. I want you to realize that the fears are hurting you towards it. They are not fighting it. They are not creating loopholes or traps for you. It is guiding you towards the gateway that leads you to the land of milk and honey, that leads you to all of the abundance and the desires and the joy and the fun and the relationships that you actually deeply desire. And from that place, remember those. Like, remember that every fucking day. Put that on your vision board this year, bitch. Instead of, I want to make 100K. How do you want your relationships to be, motherfucker? Like, honestly, like, what is past the money? You know, like, what is the point? Like, one of the things, the pieces of art that I made that's on my iPad right here in front of me, it's a very cosmic thing. Which, in fact, I'll try and put that in the show notes if I can. And the thing I wrote when I created this today is, the dream is to live. That's the title of this artwork. The dream is to live fucking life, is to live it fully, is to live it with those we love, is whatever, insert your codex desires here, okay? But that is the dream. It's to fucking live. It's to live in this body, to live in this experience, to live in this present moment. And so everything, all of this, the whole point is now. Love you to top.